In this video, we'll cover the high-level concept of momentum in trading. For many of you, this will be a review of thinking about momentum, and for many of you, it would probably be a new concept about how to think about the market and momentum. So let's jump right in and let's get started. So first up, disclaimer, pause the video, read everything here. I am not a financial advisor. So let's jump in. In this video, you will learn the definition of trading momentum. We'll briefly cover why we ban the word trend. And we'll talk about why we use momentum. You'll learn why we do. How thinking in momentum makes you an elite trader. Where momentum is in the market at this very moment. We'll go through some examples and how to use momentum going forward. So let's first talk about trend. Why have we banned the word trend? And actually, I'll have another video on that. But in this video, because we're talking about momentum, by the end, it should be very clear, or you should be able to reason why we ban the word trend. At the end of this video, after you've watched this full video, it should be clear or apparent to you why we don't use the term trend and why we don't talk in trends. So let's move on and let's talk about what is momentum. And we're going to do the standard thing. What's the definition of momentum? Well, momentum is a physics term. It refers to the quantity of motion that an object has. If an object is in motion, on the move, then it has momentum. We're not going to dwell on this actual definition because our definition, or the definition of momentum in trading, is really what's important. And momentum in trading is the highest probability direction the market will continue to move towards. That's how we want to think about momentum. It's the highest probability direction the market will continue to move towards. So it's already moving. What's the probability that it's going to continue to move in that? That's momentum. Now, momentum in trading, as we continue, it's both long and short, or up and down. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this is time frame and chart based. And it's both time frame and chart based. That's important because if you're using time charts, then it's time frame based. If you're using tick charts or maybe Renko, then it has a different base. The momentum has a different base. It's tick based or Renko based. So it's something to keep in mind. Obviously, if you're trading those type of charts, you know that already. So let's talk about momentum in your trading. Why is it important? Well, how you think, talk, and the inner and outer dialogue you have about the market directly affects how you interpret the information from the market. This is really important. In fact, it also directly affects every single action and trade you take in the market. This dialogue, how you think, how you're interpreting it, and the words you use. The words you use with me, the words you use with other traders, or the words that you see on Twitter, in other YouTube videos, and in books. It directly affects the core of who you are as a trader, especially if you make that part of who you are as a trader. So your beliefs in how you trade and what you trade and the words you use will directly affect every trade, every exit, every entry, how you read a chart, the things you actually trade, the things you don't trade, your beliefs in yourself, your beliefs in how you trade. I have a video on this on one belief that I had to quash that I look back and I can't even believe that I even allowed into my mind. So it's really important. That's why I'm very specific about the words I use and the words in the RexDog Trading System. I'm very specific about them. So how does this help you become an elite trader? When you think of momentum, as you'll learn in this video, your thinking is fluid. It is in tune with how the market operates at every single moment in time. And in trading, you want your mind to be fluid. You want to be open to the information that the market is providing you. It's always providing you information. And you want to be open to accept that information in the right way. You also want to allow and have permission for your opinion, your trade idea, direction, everything to trade in your trade system when the information dictates. You see this a lot with when I share my trading. Sometimes I'm long and then maybe 2 minutes later I'm short. The information changed. Now I'm a scalper in a lot of times, so a lot of times my trade style or my trade that I'm taking changes, and sometimes I'm hedging. I'm both long and short. I'm at a place in the trade or in a trade or in a chart in multiple momentum environments where it could go long or short. So I'll take a position, a hedge position, and then when one signal fires, I'm out of the other one. It all comes down to we don't argue with the chart. In the RexDog Trading System, we do not argue with the chart. I know a lot of this sounds zen and high-level thinking and mindset stuff, but when you start thinking this way, especially when you're trading and about the market, you become a much more effective trader. You're calmer. You're trading a system with conviction. That's what it's all about. So let's move on and let's talk about the first momentum law. So there are laws in momentum, and the first law, so momentum in trading, law number 1. Momentum is never zero. It is never zero. I will allow an exception, or the law does allow an exception for when a particular market is closed. Let's say the equities market. Yes, we can say, or maybe the futures market on the weekend. We can say, okay, momentum is zero because there is literally no auction going on in the market. So we will allow for that. The law does allow for that. The market is closed. There is no momentum. But that's the only time momentum is zero. That is the first law. Momentum in trading, law number 2. Momentum is never up or down. It is always both. This is important. Momentum at any given time, anytime the market is open, you are looking at the chart, you're looking at an instrument, it's always both. In your mind, momentum is always both. And I just noticed a symbol down here. Look, if that symbol there is some kind of Nazi symbol or something like that, it wasn't intentional. So don't cancel me or whatever. I literally needed a symbol that had multiple arrows, both up and down, left and right. So if that's some kind of Nazi symbol, wasn't intentional. I can't be canceled anyways because I don't care. So, but that's probably a challenge to some people now. Don't try to cancel me. It wasn't intentional. Yeah, I just needed a multi-arrow signal. So that out of the way, I just noticed that. I just had to mention it. Law number 2, there's only 2 laws. Momentum, law number 1, momentum is never zero. Momentum, law number 2, momentum is never up or down, long or short. It is always both. Now, I'm not saying that just to sound smart or be different. We live in a 3-dimensional world. Well, actually, if you include time, then we live in a 4th dimensional world. But even then, if you follow string theory, it's suggesting that maybe we have 6 dimensions. We just can't see them, or I'm not going to get into string theory. But I'm just saying that because we believe, let's just say, what we can quote unquote prove through the 3 dimensions of the world that we've known for a couple centuries. And then when Einstein came along and said there's time, there's this thing called time. Well, that's the 4th dimension. And now we have people, physicists, saying that we live in a 6th dimension, potentially more. So this thinking, this kind of logical thinking exists in other systems in the world. I'm just sharing this just for a different perspective. And I'm not going to actually settle on this because it really comes to the next important point so we can get to the examples and we can move on. But the astute amongst you, and actually, if I was at a barbecue with my family, especially my wife's side, with engineers, software developers, they'd be handing me a beer right now, and they'd be saying, look, you're right. Everything you said so far that we agree with, except they'd probably be pouring some rice wine in a shot glass because they're going to expect me to have to take a shot because they're going to say something along the lines of, okay, you're kind of right, but you're missing one glaring point. And that's when I would say, yeah, you're right. Momentum in relation to what? Because momentum's great. Thinking in Momentum and knowing that it's going both up and down, long and short, that's great. But momentum in relation to what? And the answer to that is really simple. First, it's in relation to you, and then it's in relation to something else. And that's what we'll cover here as we jump into the charts.